Hello, welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin, and I am continuing my series on the chakras. So, the first episode, if you haven't listened to it in the series, is pretty enlightening. I highly recommend listening to that one before this one, but I can't control what you're going to do. So, maybe I can. I don't think I can. So, this episode is about Swadhisthana, which is the second chakra. This chakra is responsible for creativity, pleasure. It's associated with the senses. The color is orange. The sound is vam. That's the Bija mantra. It is located below the navel in the sacral area. So it has to do with creation. It has to do with creating your work in the world. And it's also very much associated with healthy relationships, which is a lot of what I talk about and a lot of what I'm focused on lately. So, this is a favorite chakra of mine, and hence the Thrive logo in the back. You notice that the primary colors are orange and yellow. So, orange is all about that creativity. So, this chakra, if we have it blocked, and this can happen through lack of sort of established identity, if we've had any sexual trauma, if we are unable to express ourselves creatively either from our own means or because like that wasn't encouraged, then this area can definitely be blocked. And when this area is blocked, a lot of times like we try to unblock it with certain kinds of behavior, like maybe overindulging in sexual activity and maybe doing unhealthy things with our bodies in an effort to kind of like jumpstart the energy. So nowadays, I try to look at things like from a compassionate standpoint, like if we're engaging in behavior that is not flattering or healthy, a lot of times it's because there's an unmet need that's underneath. And when we meet that need, then we can kind of allow this energy to flow and we feel more like kind of grounded into our body and balanced and even. So when we have this area blocked as well, there's also a tendency for emotional instability. Um, you know, so I think of like the story of Kali Ma, and there was this demon that nobody could handle, and so um, actually Durga was handed a bunch of weapons by the gods, and she was like fighting this demon, and then it kept on like reproducing. Every time a drop of its blood hit the ground, it would form a new demon. And so Durga, working, and all of a sudden turns into Kali. And Kali is lapping up the blood so it doesn't like reproduce the demon. And she gets so kind of wrapped up in the passion and the bloodlust that she just kind of like goes a little berserk and starts kind of like destroying other things that maybe she shouldn't be destroying. And the way to get her to stop was that Shiva slid underneath her. And in some translations, it's like she put her foot on Shiva and then was like kind of humiliated and like it kind of like snapped her out of it. Some could say that Shiva slid underneath her and that represents coitus. So that, my girl got what she needed and then she's like, oh, I feel so much better. Oh, I guess I won't destroy all of the things. So, being a woman and having had that experience, and maybe my female listeners can relate, that could be a translation as well. So, if we have that sort of emotional instability, sometimes you look at people like maybe they need to get laid. Or maybe you need to like, kind of pay attention to that area, or maybe you need to creatively get yourself out there. So, different avenues, different aspects. This area also, if you have a lot of shame or guilt, it will bring up intimacy issues. And so, if you can focus on this area with that Bija mantra, vam, and even if you like take your teeth to your lips and do that, it's vibraty, it's a little tickly, and if you it for me, it definitely connects almost right away to that second chakra area, the Swadhisthana. So again, color's orange. feeling that we want to have here is like creative expression. We want to be able to create in the world. The element here is water, right? Makes sense, like sort of fluids, and colors orange. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of chanting of the VUM. VUM. So it's spelled BAM, but pronounced VUM, like BUM. So sit comfortably, breathe deep, inhale and exhale. When you're ready, just connecting mentally and emotionally to your second chakra. And repeat after me. VUM, 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 VUM. Take a few more deep breaths, connecting to this sacred space of creation. When you're ready, you can slowly open up your eyes and welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that. So, our next part of this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit more about this second chakra. So, the connection with this chakra is important for us to feel sort of satisfaction. Creative expression is so important. And even if you don't have a job that's like innately creative, having ways that you do express yourself in different ways is really important because it's like your signature. You know, it's unique. It's like your DNA strand. It's unique. And if you could connect with this area and express from that space, it's going to allow you to kind of give a unique aspect of yourself into the world, which is satisfying. You know, we all want to have maybe some kind of imprint in the world that's not necessarily harmful, but impactful. And being to have an impact on people is like, it's satisfying. It's, makes life feel like it's worth living. Um, being able to make our mark, being able to raise the vibe. It's like when we're tapped into this area, we feel healthy, we feel like passionate, and we also have access to our emotional intelligence. So, emotions and emotional processing is really important in this area. So, emotional processing is, maybe you've listened to my podcast on it, but it's when we're able to bring up an emotion and be able to spread it through our body and allow the sort of vibration to move through us and allow our body to kind of digest it. I just did a workshop in St. Pete where we did a lot of breath work. And then after that, I had everybody kind of sit with what came up for them and digest it, be able to kind of move it through the body. And, when they were able to do that, it's like you started to see people smile from their heart. And being able to do that, it's like you have a deeper connection to it. It's like your soul shines through. It's one of the most beautiful, attractive things in the world, I think. And I think a lot of people feel that way as well. But most importantly, you feel good, like you feel like connected to the more important and deeper things in life, like that give it meaning and give it depth. And I think if we go too long without those things, we start to look for outside things to fill in those holes and those voids. Whereas if we just trusted and, release shame and guilt and fear and embraced our creativity, then we can kind of show up in the world in a bigger way. And there's always someone that's just waiting to hear something in the way that just you would say it, or maybe see a piece of art that's going to inspire them to be able to open up. And when we take a risk and we allow ourselves to sing, to dance, to create art, um, then we inspire other people. And, this is an area where we store our emotional conditioning. So, depending on how we're raised, like if it was okay to express emotions, how was it okay to express emotions? This is something that I'm learning, like in adulthood, is like people show love in different ways. There's like the love languages. So, there's like guilt, there's gifts, acts of service, there's verbal affirmation, there's physical touch, there's quality time. So sometimes people express in one of these love languages, and sometimes it's like even like different love languages than that. So if you can have an emotional connection to yourself and like be able to connect with other people's on an emotional level, then that again, it's the space of relationships. It allows us to feel whole and complete, to find our tribe, to have a deeper level bonding with someone. And I think it's like the more you get older and like looks fade, the body fades, like it's like nobody's getting out alive. It's like you start to get more interest in the subtleties. Or, maybe for me, I've been doing this work for almost 20 years. I had a lot of suffering to work through, and I still have things to work through. And so I'm finding different ways to sort of tap into this aspect. So another way that you can do, emotional processing, tapping into the second chakra, is also dancing, like somatic shaking. I've been super into ecstatic dance lately. I've just been going and like I'm doing also like contact improv, and it's so much fun, y'all. And the space that I presented in, they had a great dance floor. It was like kind of padded with carpeting, and it was like the lights were just so you felt like really safe to kind of explore. If you've never done ecstatic dance, highly recommend it. It is definitely weird. People are crawling around on the ground. People are doing weird martial arts, probably me. Handstands, just laying in shavasana, and all of it is accepted. And it's also like the dancing is consensual, so it's like at a dance club, sometimes you have like people come up to you and you don't really want to dance with them, and they really can't take a hint, and then it makes you feel uncomfortable, and then you're like, okay, I don't have the bandwidth for this. I'm gonna have to set a boundary here. With ecstatic dance, like there's rules, and it's talked about that if you want to dance with someone, extend your hand, and if they're like feeling complete within themselves, they just do this and kind of bow away, which is awesome because even if somebody wants to dance with you and maybe sometimes you would like to, other times you just kind of want to do your thing, and I'm very into doing my own thing often, especially on the dance floor. So I hope that this podcast was helpful for you, helped you connect to the second chakra, and invite in a sense of like peace, creativity, um, you know, not being ashamed of your sexuality or your identity. Like that is highly associated with this area. Again, the name is Swadhisthana, and the color is orange. And I hope that you are enjoying this chakra series. The next one I'm going to get to is Manipura, which is our third chakra, having to do with confidence, self-esteem, and personal power. All right, I think that's it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and namaste.